the whole thing with Toto is that kind of ended a few years ago. I was kind of like the last man standing at the end of it, and I was missing all my high school friends. You know, Mike Carr had fallen ill with ALS, which is a really debilitating disease, which has left him in a wheelchair and unable to work. So I mean, you know, medical bills and kids in college and all that sort of thing. You know. So I got a call to possibly go back out on the road for a couple of weeks with the four guys that went to high school together, which were David Page, myself, Steve Lukather, and our second singer, Joseph Williams, who went to school with us, who can really still sing great. Steve and Joseph had not been on the road with us for like 22 years. David retired, so we all sort of came back for the right reason to help out our brother Mike. 3 weeks, did a nice tour, had fun. It was very cathartic and it felt good again to hang with the guys. We played the songs like the records, and it was meant like the original intention of a bunch of brothers playing music together. But that was for a brief moment. You know, I'd already been working on my record, All's Well That Ends Well, which comes out October 11th. But it was a work in progress. I would work on it for a while, then I would do something else, come back to it, and I was writing words on the road. It's been a really, really hard year for me. I'm going through a lot of really emotional things and big change of life. And, you know, it's very autobiographical. You can hear it in the words.
The lyrics are really dark.
So, I mean, it's an interesting time of my life, you know. Well, I was telling a friend of mine, I was sitting in the midst of making my record, I was having lunch with a friend of mine, and I just kind of sitting and telling him my problems. You know, my mom passed away, and somebody tried to extort money from me, so my friends are getting sick. I lost a couple, you know, and I was just kind of looking around going, well, I guess all's well that ends well, you know, and meaning at the back end of it all, I will have learned something and maybe it gets better, you know. And he goes, there's the title of your record. I went, really? You think so? He goes, yeah, absolutely. You got to really, you know, check it out. He goes, and I thought about it, and I said, well, it's perfect, because it is hopeful. There is like, I'm going through a bad spot, but at the end of it, I'm going to come out of this and I'll be okay. I have a little angel named Lily. She's going to be 3 years old on September 19th. I'm also going to have another son in January.
How many have you got now?
I'll be 4. And that's sort of interesting because I'm getting a divorce at the same time. So it's
From the mother of a child.
Yeah, and it's very difficult to kind of get my head around, you know. But, you know, I love kids. I'm going to be a great dad. And you never know how these things are going to end up, you know. It's just like everything sort of fell apart in my whole life this year. And coming of age, I stopped drinking, I stopped smoking, started going to therapy. I run, I eat healthy. Things are supposed to get better, not worse. Somehow I found myself in a situation that kind of got away from me, and I'm very sad inside, you know. My older kids are helping me through it. My friends are helping me through it, and I'm still very friendly with my wife, you know. We're not officially divorced yet, but it's very, you know, it's very sad for me. It's almost hard to talk about because it's, you know, real life never works out the way you think it's going to work out. You kind of hope for the best, you know, but shit happens, as they say in Hollywood. You know, all I can do is the best I can do. You know, you can't please everybody. What you want, I mean, you know, as an entertainer, all of us have this innate need to please everybody. I want you to love me. I want you to like me. You know, love me, like me, make me, you know, tell me I'm okay, because we're terribly insecure people. And getting up there and holding a guitar in front of me, that's like my shield against bad things or something like that. And then you write about how you feel, and then people can relate to it, because everybody has these pains. I'm not unique to this. Everything that's happened to me and everything I'm feeling has happened to everybody at one point or another. I'm just writing about it for the first time in my life.
You were saying we're all insecure people, talking about entertainers. So is something about the need for approval that brings you up there?
Desperate need for approval. That's why we take criticism so badly. I mean, nobody likes to be criticized and say, oh, you know, you're this, you're that, you know, you're not this, you're not that. But then you have to consider the source. Nobody has the right to judge other people. It's in the Bible, for God's sake, you know. Judge ye not, you know, or, you know, don't judge me until you walked a mile in my shoes. All those cliches that you've heard through the years. But you know, I don't know why. I mean, I can't remember anything horrible happening in my childhood other than being bullied as a child because I was really small and lousy in sports. The guitar became my friend, and I got good at it. So therefore, that I could do something good that those bullies couldn't do. So that became my sort of my protection, and that made me like a cool kid all of a sudden from being this total geeky, non-popular person, you know, who was terribly insecure. Boom, I get a guitar in front of me, and all of a sudden I find myself, you know, okay. And it's been my friend ever since I was 7 years old. There was like some neighbor kids that were older than me down the street taught me a couple things. And then one day I sort of woke up and all of a sudden it all made sense to me. It was like I had already done this before. And I've been reading a book about past life regressions and all this stuff like that, you know, and the whole deal about, well, maybe I was a musician in a past life because nobody in my family's a musician, you know what I mean? Where did that all come from? Where did my ability to play actually come from? So I really don't know. So I think that, you know, I believe that maybe you get more than one shot in life, and we're all here for a lesson, and maybe you take some of that, you know, where I've been before into this life. It's the only thing that can make sense to me. Why all of a sudden I could play an instrument out of nowhere. And then it became an obsession with me, and I would seek people out who were much better than me, and I would learn everything they got. And then I finally got to the point where I needed a real teacher, and then I got really serious about learning how to play and read music and get up and get good at it, you know. I got lucky. My dream came true. Well, I used to have a mullet too, you know what I mean? I used to wear funny clothes, you know what I mean? Some of these things are very much like style, you know, they come and go, they come into vogue and then they go out of vogue. Yeah, there was a time when, you know, the 80s were, you know, a time of excess in every aspect of life, whether it be clothes,
haircuts,
whether it be haircuts, whether it be drugs, whether it be sex, whether it be alcohol, whatever. It was on, you know what I mean? And so therefore, if something was new and interesting, you had to have a whole lot of it. So if anything would change the sound of the guitar, you got into this real squishy, squashy, chorusy, echoey thing. And I played it on a few hit records, and all of a sudden everybody wanted that sound, so my name got attached to that sound, which I really kind of hate. In fact, that was the truth. Yes, I did overuse it. Yes, I did a lot of things that everybody else did, but somehow I got the blame for it. I don't do that much anymore. I mean, I use very little when it comes to effects now. I prefer pretty much a clean guitar sound. Well, yeah, they took all the mystique out of music. Seeing a video for Stairway to Heaven, how a bad video could have ruined that song. You know, some maidens dancing in the fog or something like that would have been awful, you know what I mean? So a lot of great songs all of a sudden got a storyline took to it, and they all of a sudden, musicians had to be actors, they had to look a certain way, and the actual ability of writing, singing, and playing well was not good enough. You had to have the image. Well, you know what? I'm doing an experiment with all that. My son, who's 23, he said, "Dad, it's really important that you do this, to get in touch. This is your social community. These are the people who are going to buy your records and come to your shows. You have to develop this. It's really important in the communication and, you know, society that we live in now." So I've been doing this a lot personally on my own Facebook pages and you know, Twittering and all that stuff like that. I'm going to see if it really translates into this album, All's Well That Ends Well. It's the first time I've ever actively been involved in you know, trying to promote myself through these social networking systems. So far it's only been a positive experience. I'm able to dispel a lot of rumors that were not true, or answer questions to fans, and, you know, share humor, share my interesting day-to-day experiences, and it makes people, you know, come back. And I'm getting like 1,000 people more a week. You know, it's growing rapidly on, you know, Twitter and also on my Facebook. So we'll see how that works out. If it gets weird, I'm gonna bail. You never know, man. But we live in this Google Earth world where, like, you know, our cell phones, everywhere we go, there's cameras, and we can be watched and followed, and, you know, pictures of our houses could be on the internet for everyone to find out. banking information, for God's sake. I mean, is anything sacred or private anymore? So it is kind of scary. That's why it's important to say, no, that's not true. This is what's really happening. Yes, this really is me answering your questions. We'll see how it works out. Hoping for the best.